Hi, this is the Deity D3 microphone, and it has a couple of unusual features which I think I ought to show you before I actually demo it to you. First of all, it has this fairly substantial foam windshield which is fitted at the back here. It's cut out so that it fits right onto the shock mount, and once it's on, it doesn't turn, and it's quite thick and substantial so that wind is minimal onto this, although actually personally I would use a Deadcat if I can find one, a small one to fit onto here. But better than that, it seals at the back because it fits straight onto the mount at the back, and that will stop wind going up the back of it. So that's the first thing. I suppose it also acts as a nice an advert for Deity when you're walking around, which is very nice and all that, but it doesn't turn. It doesn't turn. It's a supercardioid microphone, so things on the front are going to be stronger and maybe a little bit stronger on the back. The other unusual thing about this microphone is that it comes with a Rycote mount, and these Rycote mounts are really very good and don't transmit noise too easily from your camera. But the unusual thing about this is not only is it a good mount to have, but it's got this unusual mechanism which allows you to move the position of the mic. Now, on the face of it, that might look a bit like a gimmick or something, but actually it's really handy because you can have it put forward like that if you want. If you've got a lens with a narrow field of view, you can have it quite far forward, which I suppose every extra little bit of distance closer to your subject is going to help, I suppose. The other thing is you can find the balance point of this, and if you're putting it onto onto a gimbal, you can find the balance point so that it doesn't affect the gimbal too much, which is really good. And the other thing, of course, is if you're using an action cam, you can set this thing right back to the back there to push it right back so that it doesn't appear in shot. So that makes sense. It's really quite nice. And then once you've found the position, you just lock it up and that's it. It's locked and it doesn't move again. Another feature of this microphone is that it has a button at the back here to turn on and off. It's a touch, like a touch sensitive button, but I found the lead that came with it doesn't work with all devices. And what's supposed to happen is that you plug this into your device and the microphone switches itself on and off, which saves you having to worry about power. But I found that it doesn't work with all devices. So I changed it for a Rode. This is a TRRS, just a normal TRRS lead rather than a TRRS, and this works just fine for me, and I haven't had any problems with it. So I would suggest to Deity to ship it out with one of these as well. It turns on automatically, and then if you unplug or turn off, it turns itself off as well automatically. So there's no chance of using all your power up with your battery. The battery just fits in the top, and it takes a AAA. So in order to check the polar pattern of this microphone, I'll just do an indoor test first where you've got wall reflections, just to see how this thing rejects bass and reflections around it, and see how even the response is around the microphone. So this is the D3 from the front, this is the D3 from the side, this is the D3 from the back, this is the D3 from the other side, and this is the D3 from the front. This is the sound of the D3 in a room. This is a typical situation. I've got the microphone round about 3 feet away from me. I wouldn't really want to go much further than 3 feet, because once you go further back, you're going to just pick up more and more of the room. And one thing about these on-camera microphones is that they can sound a little bit rough indoors. So this is the sound in a room where there are quite a lot of hard surfaces and quite a lot of reflections going on. And now I'm going to go around the side and the back, because sometimes in room what happens is, I think, is that the back and the sides of the microphone are they're picking up reflections, but the reflections can sound very bassy if you listen when I go around the side and the back. And those sounds mixed in with the direct sound in the front can make the audio seem a little bit muddy indoors. So this is the sound of the D3 about 3 feet away on the front. This is the sound of the D3 about 3 feet away on the sides. This is the sound of the D3 3 feet away from the back. And if I go to the front again, now hopefully that's an awful lot louder, so that in comparison to the sides and the back, the front sound is louder, but you can hear maybe the effect of the sound that you heard behind or at the side, maybe in the front here, because it's all reflecting from the walls around me in the room. Now I'm going to try it outdoors where we haven't got that sort of thing going on, but we want to reject other noises. Okay, now outdoors we've got a totally different thing because we've got other noises. We haven't got reflections anymore. I've had to raise the gain slightly because I'm 5 feet away from the camera. At the moment there's an airplane going over, birds going on, a little bit of traffic noise, so the idea out here is that the side and back rejection is hopefully going to get rid of the external sounds as much as possible. So this is the sound of the microphone from the front, about 5 feet away. This is the sound of the microphone from the side, about 5 feet away. This is the microphone from the rear, about 5 feet away. I'm now on the other side of the microphone, about 5 feet away. And then coming back round to the front, and I'm about 5 feet away from the microphone now. So outdoors, microphones can sound totally different. You lose a little bit of the muddiness, but also you've got to listen now, is this rejecting sounds around me as well as it could be? Now this is a really silly test. I'm about 40 feet away, and at this distance you possibly might not be able to hear me too well above the background sounds, but as I get closer the sound is getting better, hopefully. So this is now about 20 feet away, and getting closer to about 15 feet away now. Still got a lot of bird sounds and traffic going on, and now I would say I'm roughly about 10 feet away. So if I'm about 10 feet away and then we're back to getting closer, that's the sound of this microphone when you really are a long way away from it, and it's not something you would normally do, but it's always useful to know how these things work at such crazy distances. So the thing is that most people are going to want to know is this microphone worth 80 to 90 pounds that we pay for it in the UK, in comparison to things like the Rode Videomic Pro and other cheap mics like the Rode Go. It's a pretty good microphone. I quite like it. It's sensitive, it's got a nice sound, it's pretty well balanced, and it's got perhaps a little bit more bass than the Videomic Pro. It's certainly better than the Video Go. It's definitely, the Rode Videomic Go is not as good as this. This has, I think, a better sound, and it rejects electrical noises much better. Then we get up to the Rode Videomic and the Videomic Pro Plus. Well, the Videomic Pro Plus is a really good microphone, and soon I've got the Pro version of this coming, and I will be comparing it to the Videomic Plus. But this is probably on a par with the Rode Videomic, and so for that reason I think it's a pretty good buy. It's a little bit cheaper than the Rode, and it's smaller and it's lighter, and it doesn't get into your lens so easily. It's a nice microphone, definitely worth buying. Cheers for now.